Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we will continue our Lambda transformers. This is my 24th video. We were working from about 4 videos ago, working how to begin the issue of how to create a virtual machine and install Pfsense Firewall on it, and then beginning the initial configuration from having 2 interfaces, one connected to the WAN, which is the internet, and as we said before, one is abbreviation for wide area network. This interface will be to the internet connected to our ISP provider, and the other interface is the LAN, which is local area network. This is the interface which will makes the firewall talk to our internal network, which contains our transformers domain, which contains our servers and workstations. We saw in previous videos how to make the initial configuration and how to make the firewall able to access the internet and make the users on the local area network to access the internet. We have finished this video, and then we will begin the first step to integrate the firewall with the Active Directory. I mean that you can access the firewall initially when you do the installation of the firewall. You should have a username and a password, which is admin by default, and then a password is Pfsense small. So of course you need to change the password after the initial configuration is done. To access the firewall, you need to have a username and a password on the firewall system itself, and I show you in a video how to integrate the Active Directory with the firewall, which means that if you have an Active Directory user account, you can access the firewall with this user Active Directory account on the firewall, and this is called Active Directory integration with Pfsense through Ldap option. Okay, then after that we installed 2 options on the firewall, which is the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard. The Squid proxy is initially a cache option. A proxy server means that it's basically its function is to cache websites to the user want to access the website again, or he access a certain website repeatedly, so you don't have every time to go to the internet and get the website, so which means lost bandwidth, because you are repeating the process and you are consuming a lot of bandwidth. So basically the proxy takes a copy of the most recent accessed websites and put it locally on the hard disk of the firewall. This is basically for the proxy. What means it is cache the most frequently used websites, and it also works as an inspection for the websites that the user access. I mean inspection, you can have an antivirus on it, and I show you also in the video how to put antivirus on the proxy, and to inspect all the websites coming in and out of the firewall, HTTP websites and HTTPS websites. This is basically the Squid proxy function. And then the SquidGuard, it's a part of the Squid proxy, and it's mainly a web filter, which means that you can filter or control which websites to be seen by users or not, okay, through blacklist, which is done also through the SquidGuard. And I show you another option how to you first in the SquidGuard you can make a list and put the websites you need to block through the SquidGuard, and then there is another advanced option to block by category, which means you can block certain websites with certain subject. For example, if you have porn, you can block by porn categories, block by alcohol categories, block social media categories. All of this done through downloading a blacklist through the SquidGuard, and then activate the option of the blacklist category, and then you begin blocking. So this is the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard. We have a problem with the Squid proxy with the option of the transparent HTTP proxy, and I said before this is option blocks this option with the HTTPS inspection, SSL inspection, these two options, when they work together, most of the HTTPS websites doesn't pass through the proxy server. So we solved this issue by disabling the HTTP transparent proxy option, and I said before, this option is mainly what it do. If you have a proxy server, you need to go, basically what happens, you need to go to the user and put the proxy server setting in the browser so he can get to the internet. With the transparent, you don't have to, if this option is enabled, you don't have to do this. He will go automatically to the internet without putting the proxy setting on the browser. So as I said before, this option with the HTTPS SSL inspection have problems. The HTTPS websites doesn't display when these two options work together. So we disabled the transparent HTTP proxy option, and then we make a group policy to put the proxy setting manually, proxy automatically to every browser for the client. There is a bunch of group policies, one for the Internet Explorer, one for the Firefox, and one for the Chrome. All of this also is discussed in the previous video. So this was the first problem with the proxy, Squid proxy, and it's solved. Then another issue, we need to integrate the Squid proxy and the Squid guard to be integrated to the Active Directory, which means I need to make certain groups in the Active Directory, or certain users in the Active Directory, to see certain websites or to block certain websites to them. Before the integration, when we work with the Squid proxy and the Squid guard, any rule is done, it will be applied to all of the users in the domain. But we need to have more specific or more controlled access. We will integrate the Squid proxy and the Squid guard with the Active Directory, and we have done this through also previous video, but there is still a problem arises that the integration wasn't complete. So on this video we will begin solving the problem, and we will test it through the lab. So let's begin. Sorry, here is the full screen. So you have powered on the firewall. So I'll pause I'll pause the video until the firewall boots. Okay, I think it will take about 1 minute. And then I will power on the domain controller virtual machine, the first domain controller. I think here I was trying to see a video, because I have already downloaded a video to solve the problem of the Squid guard and Squid proxy integration with the Active Directory. But actually the issue or the problem was a completely different option. I have activated it, and this caused the whole problem for the integration not to work. So you will see now. Basically, when you integrate the Squid guard and Squid proxy with the Active Directory, when the user access the internet, or after putting of course the proxy setting on the browser and then try to access the internet, a menu should appear, or a username and password field will appear for you to put your Active Directory username and password, and then you will be able to access the internet. But from the previous videos we see that this doesn't happen, so I discovered the issue that was blocking or was not completing this process, or was not or preventing this process to happen. So we will see that now, but before that there was a couple of settings to be changed in the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard. Also this I have seen in a video. So actually there is two issues. There was an option that I have activated it by mistake. This was blocking the Squid proxy and SquidGuard integration, and some setting need to be changed in the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard concerning the Ldap setting. We will see that in a moment. Mostly the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard work when working with Ldap. There is a certain format needed to be typed in. So to know how to work with this format, we will open the AD ist. I think I will show you in just a moment. We will open tools, okay, and ADSI edit. Here we can work with the format that the that the firewall needs, or the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard needs, through the ADSI edit, and I showed this before in previous videos how to work with it. So here we'll go to the authentication. This is where you integrate the firewall, or sorry, the Squid proxy with the Squid proxy and SquidGuard with the Active Directory. We will change the port. Let's go a little bit further. Again, here we will go to the authentication, and here we will put the authentication port. Don't leave this port blank, because actually it didn't work for me, and actually the port is not 3268, it's 389. And after that I will show you in advance that we need to have a firewall rule to be pushed to all of the clients to open the port 389 and 3128 to enable the proxy, Squid proxy, and the integration with the Squid proxy and SquidGuard with the Active Directory. We need a port 389, which is the port that will be used for the integration between the SquidGuard and the SquidGuard and Squid proxy with the Active Directory. This is 389, and as for the port for the SquidGuard itself or Squid proxy, it's 3128. Okay, so here we will change the port to 389, and then I need to show you something here. You need here, this is the user that will be used to authenticate or to complete the process of the integration between the SquidGuard and Squid proxy with the Active Directory. This is the user that will be used for the integration process. This is done in a previous video when we have integrated the firewall with the Active Directory. I said before that you don't need to have a username on the firewall system itself. You can access the firewalls with your Active Directory account. So also this process we have created a user named Pfsense service account to integrate the firewall as a whole with the Active Directory. And as I said before, the Squid proxy and SquidGuard integration process with the Active Directory is a complete, or is a separate process from the integration of the firewall as a whole with the Active Directory, to make you access the firewall with your Active Directory credentials. Anyway, this is the firewall. This is the user that will be used. Actually, because the user contains spaces between the name, okay, so you need to put it between quotas. Okay, You have to put quota here and quota here, because the SquidGuard, this is another issue, the Squid proxy didn't recognize or didn't work when I use this username without quotas, okay? Because the problem that the username contains spaces. So if you want to work or to create a username and don't put quotas, so don't put spaces between the username itself, okay? So this is a mistake. I will fix it later, but this is the username and this is the password, and this is the place where the users reside, okay? Because you need to tell him the username used for integration and where are the users of the Active Directory domain. Here is the location of the Active Directory users, and which is the attribute that he will search for. So for example, you need the Squid proxy or SquidGuard to know this user is on the Active Directory or not. So how he will verify this user? With his first name, with his last name, or with his SAM account. SAM account means the username, so he will validate the user with the SAM account. Okay, so let's continue. And also this okay, here we will make it the whole domain. He will search in the whole domain, not a specific OU or organizational unit. I am telling him that search in the whole Active Directory, okay? And as I said before, here we will use the SAM account, the username, which is the Active Directory name for the username. He calls it internally as SAM account, or let's say as a programming language, or let's see as an internal Active Directory language. Here is the, just a minute. So here is the SAM account, and here is something called the Ldap search filter. You are telling him exactly that this SAM account, the type of this object, it is a person, okay? So when you search, you are searching a person, okay, or a user, okay? There is, for example, if you are using a group, so this object class will be changed to group, not person, okay? Here we are using a user. You can type it as a person or a user, but actually user is a person is more logic, okay? And this is also used in the Active Directory. When you are categorizing things, this SAM account, it is categorized as person, as and user. So here you are telling him this is the user that integrate and will be used to integrate the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard to the Active Directory, and this is the location where you will see, or you will search for the users, and you will search the user with the SAM account, which is the username, and this SAM account, it is a person. So for example, if you need to search with group, then you will change the SAM account to another thing, and then the object class will be changed to from person to group. And this is also telling him this person is a SAM account, okay? It's basically something that telling the Squid proxy to how to search and how to find users in the Active Directory. So here, as I said before, we can get this format from the ADSI, so we can see here that we can get the format OU blah blah blah. Here is the format that we will use. If you are not, or you don't know how it is typed in the firewall setting, you can get it, or you know how it is typed through the ADSI, through the distinguished name. This is the field, or this is the this is the field that is needed to be typed in the Squid proxy setting, okay? So here this is the group, okay? Here we have already completed the proxy, SquidGuard proxy setting. We will go to the Squid proxy setting. We will go to the SquidGuard, and then we will here, let me go for a minute. Can I show you? Okay, before that we have already created a rule, okay, in the group access. After the integration has done, or after the integration should be done, then you need to make a rule to block a certain Active Directory group not to access certain websites. So how to do this? You have to go to the SquidGuard. After the integration is completed, go to the SquidGuard groups ACL and then create one. Okay, and then here we have done this in a previous video. Here you will put the name and then the client source. Here is the field that we need to change. Here you have three options to be put here. You can put an IP address, okay, or you can put Active Directory username, or you can put a group or a member of a group. Okay, for example, if I have an IT group, also as I said before, we have 4 internet groups we have created in the Active Directory, which is tr_internet admin. This is for the whole IT group will be put in this group, and then the tr internet advanced TR Internet Advanced, this is for the GM and the top level management. It will be put also, the users will be put here, and then TR Internet Basic, this is for the normal users, for the cleaning department, for the front office department, the accounting department, and then the TR Internet Moderate, this is for the second level management, the assistants and all of this. This is moderate. We will contain all of the groups of the Active Directory for the second level to be in this group. So for example, if I need members of the TR Internet Admin, which is the group of IT, I need the members of the group of IT to be able to access certain websites. So to type it here in the firewall, we will need to type it in a certain format. Here you can see it's called Ldap search. Here is Ldap. This is the protocol, and then we put the IP of the domain controller, and then here this is the domain, which is DC transformers DC local. This is the domain, and then we leave some account as it is, and there is the member of. Here we will equal CN equal the group that we need. For example, it's TR Internet Admin. This is the group, and this is the group that I need to make the firewall. For example, if Karim, for example, which is me, is a member of this group, okay, he will be able to, or this will be applied to him. So this is here we will put the CN equal IT. We will put it here the group, which is TR Internet Admin group, which contains the IT personnel, and then we will put the location of this group, which will be the organizational unit, which is in the security groups, and then Cybertron, and then transformers, and then local. Don't worry, we will do this now in a moment. I will show you, but to add a group, it's not easy, and this is also one of the main problems that I see, that the SquidGuard is not flexible in this. In, for example, in the Firefox, in the FortiGate or Sophos, you need only just to put the group itself, or you can browse after the integration is done, you can browse the Active Directory and choose the group, but here you have to type it in this format, and if it is not correct, it will do certain mistakes, and this also I have faced this. Okay, so here, as I said before, we will have to type it in a certain format. And actually another problem with the Squid proxy, I remember now, that if you, as I said before, after disabling the transparent HTTP proxy, you need to put the proxy server IP and port in every browser for the client, and this will be done through the group policy, as I said before. But what if you didn't put the proxy setting? The normal thinking or the normal process that the user will not be able to access the internet. This is not correct. If you didn't put the proxy, the user will be still or will be able still to access the internet. This is another problem with the Squid proxy. So as we see here, it's because it is a free solution, so it has some problems. This is not in the commercial this is not we don't face this problem in the commercial solutions like FortiGate or Sophos. So but we are using it here to demonstrate how we can do some web filtering. Actually, this will be much easier if you used a commercial one, but just to explain the idea. So here he will put the group, and we'll show you how to put the Active Directory group in the format that he typed here. And here is the target rule list. From here we will choose the categories we need. For example, we need to block here the social media and the news and the porn. All of this is done in a previous video, so we are just changing the group. Okay, and here we said before the time. If you need the rules to work for a certain time, you need to define the time that these rules will work. For example, if you need to block the Facebook and blah 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 from 8 to 5, this is the working hours, and after 5 the rule will not be applied anymore. This can be done, and this also I showed you in the previous video. So let's begin. We will copy this format here, then we will change the IP address. This is the domain controller IP address, which is 28, and then the domain, we can see here that this domain is transformers local, this one. Okay, and here we need to do this. We will have to take this percentage 2c, and then we will do as follows. Okay, we will take off the commas and put this percentage 2c instead of the commas. Okay, this is how the firewall recognize the Active Directory group policy. And here we can see also that there is some spaces between the names of the organization unit. I think this also is a problem, but we will see how this is fixed. But this is the way that you need when you need to have a group, Active Directory group, to be blocked. The members of this Active Directory group to be blocked from access certain websites. You need to type it in this format. Also, it took me a lot of time also to find the video to do this. Actually, as I said before, this is not flexible, and in a commercial solution or in a production environment, this doesn't fit or doesn't work perfectly. You need to have something more simpler. Okay, so we'll put here this, and then we will save. And then after that, you need every time to make any change in the SquidGuard, you need to go to the general setting and and click apply. Here I am taking off the quotas. As I said before, this is not correct because it will not work. You need to have quotas if you have your organizational unit or username. There is spaces between the name of the spaces between the username or the name of the organization unit, as I said before, and I showed this before from a couple of seconds. Then we can save and then apply. I think I am revising the setting. Here we are revising the access rules. We are blocking the social media and a couple of websites. And then we will revise the proxy setting or the squid proxy. I'm just revising the setting. Sorry, I have to pause for a minute. So let's continue our lab here. I'm just revising the setting. So here we will open a workstation to begin testing the setting that we have done. We will see if the integration is done, and we will use a user from the Active Directory from the group that we have make a rule on the SquidGuard to make it block. For example, here I am using a user called Kathy from the group which is called TR Internet Advanced, which in a couple of seconds before we have done on the SquidGuard a rule to block the members of TR Internet Advanced to access the social media, the news, etc. So we'll have a group member which is called Kathy to test this setting on. So here we will open the Active Directory, and then I will reset the password for the user which is named Cassie. First of all, I need to make sure that this user is in the Internet Advanced group, which is, we have put the medic group in this Internet Advanced. So here I will use a user that is member of the TR Internet Advanced group. Here we will use a user called Cassie. As I said, this user is a member of TR Internet Advanced, which we have created a rule on the SquidGuard to filter the internet for this group. We will block the social media and a lot of things. Okay, here we will go to the account. We will take, I just need the username, and then also I have specified this user to access all of the computers, not a specific computer, from the log on to tab, and I will set the password. Until now, folks, still there is an issue. We have done the correct setting, but there is still an option that, as I said before, that was the whole problem, or was the main problem for not the integration to be completed. There is some configuration that needed to be changed so the integration is working correctly, but still there is an option that blocked the process of, or blocked the completion of the process of the integration. We will see this in the coming video. I will also show you now. First of all, I have already logged in with the user. And I will show you all where is this option that was making the whole problem. When this option was deactivated, the whole process completed successfully. The integration was successfully, and the blocking rule blocked the user which was from the Active Directory. Here we need to do something. We need to as I said before, we need to make a group policy to make the proxy setting be published to all of the browsers of the client. Okay, and this we have done it before in a previous video, but here I have forgot to do something from, let's pause here for a moment. You know, in the second or third video, when we have done the Squid proxy and we have activate the transparent HTTP proxy and the HTTP SSL inspection for the HTTPS websites to work, we should have a certification authority server. Okay, and I said before how this be done. We have done this. We have created a certificate authority server on the firewall, and we have issued 2 certifications. This certification should be imported to every browser for the client, so that the HTTPS websites will be displayed. This is not or this is not the solving step for the problem I said before after installing the SquidGuard, that the HTTPS website was not appearing. This is because, as I said before, the transparent HTTP proxy, this was the problem, this option was the problem. But before that, you need to make sure that you have a certification authority in your domain or on your firewall. We have done this through the firewall, and to issue 2 certifications and import them to the browsers of the clients, so you don't have the error of this website is not trusted or something like this. You need to have the certifications imported to every browser for the client, because if this certifications is not imported, every website, HTTPS website, the user will access, he will give him an error that it is not trusted. This is completely different from the error that it says SSL long record. This is the problem. As I said before, with the Squid proxy. If you need to know more, please return to my previous video. Here we will make a group policy, and we will import these 2 firewall certifications, and through the group policy it will push them to all of the clients, so the users can be able to access HTTPS websites and don't have an error appear for them as it is untrusted website or something. Okay, so here we'll go to the Windows setting. Please return to my previous video, I think the second video in the series for the firewall installation, how to do a certification authority and how to issue certifications. This is for the HTTPS websites. So if the client access any website HTTPS, it will tell him that this site is secure. If you don't install this, it will tell him that it is not secure. Okay, so here we can see that we open the public key, and in the trusted root certification we will put, and the intermediate certification authority, we will do our 2 certifications. One will be in the trusted root certification authority, and the other is the intermediate certification authority. Okay, this is for the intermediate. Right click and import, and also right click and import. We have 2 certifications. Please refer to my previous videos. And here we will if you guys saw my previous video, also there was a problem when we have done the group policy to push the proxy server IP and port to the browsers of the client of any user on the domain. It didn't work because as I said before, when doing this setting we need to press F5. Okay, we'll do properties. Okay, and here this is the Internet Explorer. Here for the LAN setting, we need, after putting the LAN setting here, putting this, we need to press F5. Okay, after doing this, if we're doing this option, we have typed the IP of the server and the port of the Squid proxy. We need to type or to press F5, because in the previous video this setting wasn't published or wasn't put or inserted in the Internet Explorer options. So this is the fix for the problem. We need to press F5 after doing the setting. So here is our client. I am trying to see if the internet options and connections. We will see if this setting is published. Still not published, but because I have a problem, but it should be fixed. Here I am typing the IP of the firewall and the port for the Squid proxy, which is 3128. So the group policy of the proxy setting didn't work. As I said before, you need to type F5 after the setting is done. But if it didn't work, then there is a problem. It is because it's setting for the Internet Explorer 10. But be sure it is correct. After typing or pressing F5, it will solve the problem. But because I'm working for a virtual environment, I think this is the issue here. But in a production environment, this will work. Okay. So here we will try to see if the setting or the proxy integration, proxy Squid proxy and the SquidGuard integration is correct. So I'm trying to get to the internet. Normally, if the process is correct, when you open the browser, a window will appear for you asking you for your Active Directory username and password. After you type it, he will get you to access the internet. But as we see here that this will not happen, because still, as I said before, there is an option that was blocking the process. I will tell you all what is this option. Here I am using the Firefox. As I said before, there is a group policy to push also the proxy server IP and port to the Firefox and the Chrome, and this is in the documentation. I have put it in a Google Drive link under the video description, but as here for simplicity I will just push the proxy IP and port with the Internet Explorer. But if you need to do it for the Firefox, I have put the documentation on a Google Drive link. It is under the description of the video in my YouTube channel. So here we will put the manual setting. We can go a little bit before, just a minute. Here we will go to home, okay, general, and then network setting, and then setting. Here is the way to put the proxy, manual, and then we will put the proxy here. Here is the IP of the firewall and the port for the Squid proxy, and we will click this option, also use this proxy for FTP and HTTPS, and then OK. So as I said before, still there is one missing step for this Squid proxy and SquidGuard integration with the Active Directory to be completed. Here we are testing the setting, and I said before it will not work because there is still a missing step, but I am just showing you the process of the troubleshooting and how it will be fixed. Here a window should appear asking for the username and the password of the Active Directory for this user, okay? But as I said before, here we will see that it goes to the internet normally. All of the traffic is passed. There is no blocking done. The user can access anything and everything. As I said before, if you didn't put the proxy setting in the browser, normally you will not be able to access the internet, but no, with the Squid proxy you will access the internet. So here we can see that I have blocked the news, but when I type the CNN it will work. So here we can see CNN is passing. So okay, I have gone to the here. This is real time in the Squid proxy. This is the logs, so we can see what is the problem exactly. Here we can see that this is the IP of the client and he is passing without, and there is no user here, so if your integration is correct, the user Kathy or the user for the Active Directory should appear here. But still, this means that the user passed, or we didn't have any block on the user. So here I'm just checking the proxy setting. It's very important to show or to see the logs. Here you can see also the SquidGuard logs. Here there is no blocking at all. This is all entries, but if anything is blocked, it will appear in this section. So here I am changing the port, or I am just, here's some troubleshooting. I have already left the authentication port blank, so let the firewall decide which, or the default port for him, because as if he said, let's here have a, sorry, let's here have a little bit. Okay, if you can see, there is something here. It says if you leave the port blank, he will use the default port. Okay, so I have left it for him. I don't know which is the default port that he will use, but I left or leave it for the default configuration. Okay, so here I'm trying to test the setting again. I will not bother use the steps. Okay, here I'm trying to test again. Here the website is paused again, so we can go to the logs. Here I'm going to the logs, and still we have everything paused. There is nothing, and the user is blank. You don't have any user here. So here I am just trying it on the Internet Explorer, and it already worked, or sorry, didn't work. All of the websites are paused. The CNN is paused, and as I said before, it is blocked. Here I try on the Firefox, and let's see. Here it is still pausing also on the Firefox. Let's pass. Okay, here we can see that it is paused already. I'm just pushing. Okay, here you go. I am here trying to get the CNN, and also it is working. As I said before, I have blocked the news, so it should not pass, but it is passing. Okay, so here I have already put the port again, and this is the correct thing, and then we will have to put commas, okay, or quotas between this, so this is also correct. Okay, and this I have changed some setting. Okay, to see if it will work. This is also from a video. I can show you all where I have this video coming from. So here I have changed some setting, and see if it will work here. Okay, this is the setting, and save, and then we will go to the logs and see the CNN is still passing. So I will close the browser and try again after changing some setting in the Squid proxy. As I said, I have put the port and change the Ldap attribute and the Ldap filter. Okay, this is also troubleshooting, but this wasn't the issue. I will show you in upcoming minutes how this is solved. So here I'm just seeing the logs. Here I am trying. I will pause everything for you. Okay, and I'm trying again. okay, and then still I'm just passing all of this. Okay, here we will try again. In the Internet Explorer it also still didn't work. The CNN was working, and here is the Facebook, it's working on Firefox. So I was revising the setting again, but still the problem persists. There was no authentication, or there was no integration between the Squid proxy and SquidGuard with the Active Directory, and even after changing the setting this wasn't solved. So in a couple of seconds I will show you in the upcoming video how this was solved, but still there is a problem. Okay, so this video is finished. I will show you in the another video. Okay, I think here, let's see if this, okay, this is finished. We will go to the other video, which is this video. Here you go. So here we will see how this was fixed. Okay, so here I have already made my trials and everything, and I solved it. So I begin recording the solution, or the solving steps. Here I am just opening again the firewall and the domain controller. Yes, the firewall is booting. Okay, so after booting the firewall, okay, and then the domain controller, I will show you all the solving steps. First of all, I will show you the correct setting for the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard, the setting that worked, and then the option in the Squid proxy that was blocking the process of the integration, and how to disable it, and then we will test this on our workstation. So here we log into the domain controller. This is my domain admin account, and also I will use this user to access the firewall. As I said before, when we have installed the firewall, we have made an integration between the firewall and the Active Directory, so I can use my domain admin account to access the firewall. I don't have to have a local password or a local user on the firewall system itself. And this is different from the integration of the Squid proxy and SquidGuard with the Active Directory. This is a different integration process, which means that that integration of the firewall with the Active Directory doesn't mean that it also integrates the Squid proxy and the SquidGuard with the Active Directory. This is the process and this is the process. So here I will get the user again, which is named Cassie. I am just resetting the password again. I am just taking the username so I can try it on the workstation again. But before that, I will revise with you the setting that finally worked after trials and errors, and the option that was blocking the process of the integration between the Squid proxy and SquidGuard and the Active Directory. There is an option in the Squid proxy. I will show you which option was the problem, and actually I discovered it from the logs. Okay, here I will log into the firewall with my domain admin account. So here we can see also in a minute, we can see that the user is scareoff at Active Directory. This is the name of, or the IP of the domain controller, and this is my username Active Directory, and this is Active Directory. If it is local, it will say local. It will say local. Okay. So we'll go to the proxy server, and we'll go to the authentication. I will show you all the working setting or working configuration setting for Squid proxy and SquidGuard. Okay, here you go. Here is the IP and there is the port. Okay, this is the correct one, and this is I will use this in a moment when we will make it on the firewall. And here we have to put quotas, as I said before, because there is spaces between the service account or the username. If your username contains the spaces, then you need to put it between quotas. Okay, one quota only, not double quota, one quota. And then this is the setting for the attribute for the Active Directory and for the Ldap filter. And then we will go to the SquidGuard proxy. We will put quotas here also for this to work. And enable option Ldap. This is to make filters or to make us put Active Directory group in the SquidGuard rule. Okay, so we will go, and this is the setting. Sorry, I have 1 second. Okay, here let me show you something. This is the option that was, it's called Unrestricted Ips. If you remember from my previous videos, I have put my two domain controllers here in this field. I was intending just to put my two domain controllers to pass the proxy without any blocking. Okay, I don't need my two domain controllers to have any internet filter or web filter options or any web filter blocking. I need it to pass completely without any blocking. So I have put it here in this field, unrestricted IP address. Okay, I have put the IP of the domain slash the subnet mask. Okay, when I have put it this, I have put it like this. Let me show you. Okay, when I have put the two domain controllers, I have put it in this format. This is my first domain controller. If you return to my previous video, you will see how I type it. I type it like this, sorry, 8/24, and here 168.2.9/24. When I put these two IPs in this field, okay, I saw a log saying in the SquidGuard that I am passing the whole network. He didn't pass only my domain controllers, but he passed all of the network, which is 192.168 192.2.0. He passed the whole network, not the two IPs only. When I make it like that, he passed the whole network. He didn't see this as two IPs, but he saw it as the whole network. So any client, any server will pass without any blocking. And also the authentication, or the, as I said before, when you use the Squid proxy, you have to have a window appearing for you asking for the username and the password. When using this option, okay, it bypasses all of this. If you put when I put these two IPs in here, he have passed the whole network, so no authentication is done, no window appeared for any user asking for the username and the password. So this was the problem. And when I put these two IPs in here, okay, he passed the whole network. Okay, it's something like bypassing. Okay, so every user and every IP in the network will pass without without going to the proxy, Squid proxy authentication, or going through the Squid, as if the Squid proxy is not there. Okay, so this was the problem. So here let me have another thing to say. Okay, here, as I said before in the previous video, this is the way you should type the Active Directory group, okay, but this for some reason didn't work. Okay, but here to test the integration, I have put the username, the Active Directory username. I will use a username, not a group, because this format didn't work. Okay, so I'll put the Kathy username, the Active Directory username, which is called Kathy, and we will see it will block. Here the username, this is the Active Directory username. So we'll test the integration and see if it will work or not. And after that we will make apply. Here we can see there is another option. Just a minute. Redirect. Here, if the user or the rule is applied and he is trying to access a website that is blocked by this SquidGuard rule, he will have here we will choose the redirect mode. It is internal error. An error will appear for him, and it says it is blocked by IT. You will see this when we test it on the user, or we test it on the workstation. As you can see here that we are blocking the social media, and we are blocking the a lots of things, and here we are checking the log. We will see here, we will open the workstation and see if our rules or the integration process is completed. So this is, I have tested it before recording this video and it worked, but I am just showing you how it will work again. So here we are checking the logs and seeing here where I discovered the error for the unrestricted IPs I showed you. Here we can see this is an old entry. Okay, I have tested it and it was working. We will see now. We will test it. This was a previous attempt and it was working, so we will see that now. Okay, this is also from a previous video, the safe mode or the boot modes. We have done this in a previous video. If you want to know how it is done, please refer to my previous videos. I have said that in making a master image and making some tweaks in the Windows image. Here we can see that it is denied because we still didn't we didn't logged in, but we can see that now it is denying the traffic because we didn't put the username and password, Active Directory username and password for the user. So this is a success indicator, because if the integration wasn't completed, he will pass the traffic or will pass the user internet traffic without supplying the username and Active Directory username and password. So now we will log in. I think I can bypass it quickly. Okay, and now access. Here I'm just checking that the DHCP is working, because in a previous video also the DHCP was down, so I'm just checking if the DHCP server is working. So it is working, and the client is had access the domain, because the background and everything is applied. So here we will try to work with the Internet Explorer and see if the integration is completed, and we will monitor the log to see if it is successful or not. It will take a little bit of time, because the machine I have only assigned 1 gigabyte for the virtual machine. I don't have a lot of RAMs, but we can see now there is an successful indicator. We can see that the user in the user field, the Active Directory username is appearing in the logs. So this means that the integration is completed. So here we can see that the authentication, please enter user. Here we can see that this field is asking for the username and the password for the Active Directory user. So we'll supply the username and password, and then we will test. As I said before, we have a rule to block the social media and the news. So when we try to, here first of all we will see that all the traffic is denied, but after supplying the username and password the traffic will be allowed, as we can see here that the user is appearing. So we will try to access Facebook. It will be denied, and we will, as we will see in a moment, and when we will return to the logs of the SquidGuard, we can see that it is blocked. Here, if you can go down, here as we are seeing if it's Facebook, here we can see that the Facebook, just a minute. Okay, here is an error, but if we return to the logs of the SquidGuard, we can see, just a moment, okay, we can see here that it is blocked. Okay, with the block social media rule, this is done in a previous video, we can see that it's supplying the username and it is blocked. Okay, so this means the integration is successful. We will try to access the CNN, the BBC. We have another rule applied to block, or another category to block with, which is the news. We will see that now in a moment. It is paused. Oh yes, it is paused. Okay, so when we try to access the BBC, for example, it will not pass, still giving the same error. And we can see here that it is also blocked in the SquidGuard logs, so it is successfully implemented. So let's try now a website that it is not blocked. The YouTube, I didn't block the YouTube for the user, so we can see that the YouTube will pass. It's not in the logs, okay, the SquidGuard. So we can see here in the Squid proxy that this website is allowed. Okay, so the integration is completed successfully, and the rules are applied, and the integration is completed. So the rules are applied and the integration between the Squid proxy, SquidGuard and the Active Directory is done. So here we have one last thing to do, is to create a group policy to allow 2 ports on every client or every workstation on the domain, to enable the SquidGuard and the Squid proxy integration with the Active Directory not to be blocked. As I said before, you will see that in a moment. We will make a rule or a group policy, or in the group policy we will create a rule on the firewall to allow port 3128 and 389. These 2 ports, one port is for the proxy server and the other rule is for the integration between the Squid proxy, SquidGuard and the Active Directory. These 2 ports should be allowed in every client firewall, so that the proxy, the Squid proxy and the integration with the Active Directory works perfectly with the clients. So here I'm just showing the categories that I have blocked. So here we can see that the YouTube is working. So an important note: you have to have firewall rules created on every workstation on the domain to allow port 3128 and 389 to be passed through the firewall. The first port is for the Squid proxy, and the other is for the integration between the Active Directory and or the port that it is used to integrate the Active Directory with the Squid proxy and SquidGuard. So here I'm just clearing the cache and the cookies. You can tell him in the setting to clear the cache and the cookies when the Firefox is closed. And actually I'm doing this. You can here, after clear, you can tell him, okay, clear now. Here you can tell him to delete cookies and site data after closing the Firefox. And actually in a group policy I have told also the group or had set a group policy to clear the cookies and cache of the Internet Explorer. This can be done also through the group policy. Actually you can do a lot with the group policy. You can change setting in the Internet Explorer, Firefox and Chrome, and as I said before, all of these group policies are, I have already installed them. The Internet Explorer is there by default, the group policy for the Internet Explorer, but for the Firefox and Chrome you need to download the ADMX files and or the group policy files and put them in the Windows group policy container. Okay, so here I don't know, I think I'm checking the internet. Yes, here we will check the internet options. We will check that the internet options is working. Okay, we can see that the connection, LAN setting, and the port is there, and firewall. Here I have disabled the firewall, as I said before, to test the setting. Okay, but this is not recommended. You have to open the firewall and then you create a group policy to create firewall rules on any client or any workstation on the domain to pass the port 3128 and 389 to enable successful or to make the client or the workstation to be able to communicate with the Squid proxy and to enable the integration between the Active Directory and the Squid proxy through using the port 389. Okay, so here we'll go to the group policy and then to the domains, and then to the default domain policy. Okay, and right click and edit. Okay, it is in the computer configuration, and then under policies, okay, under Windows setting, this rule will be applied, or group policy will be applied to all of the domain, workstations and servers. Okay, click OK, and then we will go to the security setting, and then under the Windows Defender Firewall, Windows Defender with Advanced Security, here we will create two rules, okay, in the inbound rules. Okay, these to pass the port or the port for the Squid proxy and the port for the integration, or the port responsible for the integration between the Squid proxy, SquidGuard, and the Active Directory. So here we will pass the port 3128. Okay, and then next, it's TCP port. Allow the connection, and then to all. We name this allow Squid proxy port connection. And then finish. Okay, and then we make another rule, port, and then we put 389. 389, this is the port responsible for the integration between the Active Directory and both of the Squid proxy and SquidGuard. Allow the connection, and then next, and then we name it. Allow Squid proxy Active Directory port, integration port, authentication port. Okay, so now we have done the group policy. So this for now is the end of our video. The next video we will begin creating a VPN connection, so how we can access our for example domain controller and other workstations from outside our working environment, for example from your home. We will do this through the firewall. We'll make a VPN connection through the firewall, or integrating the firewall with the domain, or we will do something called remote radius, or we will set up a radius server and we will integrate it, or we'll work with the firewall and the radius server to make a VPN connection setup, so we can access the servers and workstation from outside our work environment, or outside our domain network. Okay, so until I see you all the next video, I would like you to thank you for viewing. Thank you.